Daniel said he wanted a large family, but I never planned to have 13 children. I just said yes, one baby at a time.
I started with the Knights in 2005, and I decided I would look into being a Knights of Columbus insurance agent after reading Parish Priest, because I really felt like coming into this business, I have to be an apostle of Father McGivney, that we take care of Catholic families. It was December 31st, baby number 13, that we had the ultrasound that revealed the Down syndrome. I told Michelle, I said, what a blessing for our children to be able to grow up around someone like that. We were advised to get some additional testing done. They pulled the ultrasound up on the screen, showing us how his body looked like it was completely full of fluid, like a little balloon. He said, well, he has fetal hydrops diagnosis. This is going to be terminal. I kind of just had an agony in the garden moment. I said, Father McGivney, if you will pray for him, then we will change his name, and I will name him after you.
I just kept thinking, Lord, let this baby be the miracle. If he's Father McGivney's miracle, then he will live.
Every year, the Knights of Columbus puts on an incentive trip for their agents. So in January of 2014, it was announced that we were going with a pilgrimage to Fatima.
Daniel and I asked all of our friends that were close to please pray through the intercession of Father McGivney on the day that we were in Fatima.
The reading of the day, it just hit us both pretty hard. Jesus says to the man that comes and asks him to heal his son, go forth, your son will live. I remember looking at Michelle with my mouth hanging open, thinking, wow, how powerful is that?
Physically, I felt like a veil was lifted. The brokenness in my heart was softened. And then we came home, and I went to the appointment to see where the baby was.
The doctor came in and read the ultrasound, and everything looked like a normal Down syndrome baby. That is the moment where you have to acknowledge that something has happened.
Good morning. The Tennessee people make it here yet?
Yay!
Our family wants to thank the Sisters for Life, the Knights of Columbus, Blessed McGivney, and ultimately God for bringing us here today. And I'd like to introduce to you Michael McGivney Schachle. Mikey, you want to say hi? You want to tell him anything?
Father, give me pray for me. That's right, he did.
Father McGivney prayed for me. Wanted to start out reflecting on yesterday's responsorial psalm, which is very important or appropriate for the march. So if you don't mind, let's do it together. The psalm was, "In God I trust, I shall not fear.
In God I trust, I shall not fear.
Have mercy on me, O God, for men trample upon me. All the day they press their attack against me. My adversaries trample upon me all the day. Yes, many fight against me. In God I trust, I shall not fear."
When I was given Michael's diagnosis, I felt completely broken. I believe the hardest part was knowing what it would be like to hold a child who did not make it. I had taken that journey at 19 with the birth of my unplanned child who died during delivery. Her name was Brandy. Everything in me was crying to God because of my past pain. During the pregnancy with Michael, I kept repeating, Lord, let him be Father McGivney's miracle, because if he is the miracle, he will live. With Michael, our family has been given an extraordinary gift. He is perfectly created the way God wanted him to be. It breaks my heart that 95% of parents who receive a Down syndrome diagnosis will never know the answer of love and joy that we know by having Michael in our lives. The gift continues every day with every song, every smile, and every small step that help us continue to grow into what God intends him to be. We had several doctors during the pregnancy, but one didn't focus on options. He focused on giving me a joyous vision of what life with my son would be like. He was an angel to me. He helped me face my fears and give me the courage to love. All of this reminds me of a quote from the great Pope John Paul II. Disabled people are humanity's privileged witness. They can teach everyone about the love that saves us. They can become heralds of a new world, no longer dominated by force, violence, and aggression, but by love and acceptance. To all the expectant mothers out there, please believe me. The joy and love you seek does not come from being single and free with your time and with your body. It comes from giving yourself to your family. The answer isn't freedom or money or men. The answer is love.
For me, I know as fathers, we're supposed to protect our children and give them good things, nourishment in mind and body and in spirit. With the gift of 12 children already, many told us that Michael's diagnosis would probably be the best. And following the doctor's advice would be the best as well, because there would be more medical appointments, more bills, more responsibilities, more needs, and we already had so many. But we knew there would also be more love. We knew that this child would soften the heart of our family. I knew that God would use this child to make me a better man, as each child does, increases our discipline and our trust. Our world is telling us that we should avoid suffering at all costs. We must have it all, vacations, great Instagram stories, girls. And our culture tells us that if we don't have all that, that means God doesn't favor us. But we know that's a lie. There's no salvation without the cross. As men, we're called to be like Christ and crawl up on our cross and do what we have to do and sacrifice for our wives and our children, not sacrifice our children for our own lives. With 12 children, we had been open to new life throughout our marriage already. We depended on God for everything, and we depended on God for this, and He came through again. In 2005, I went to work for the Knights of Columbus as an insurance agent, and I made a deal with Father McGivney that if I took care of his families, I would trust him to take care of mine. And that's when our family really began to develop a deep devotion to Father McGivney. With Mikey, according to the experts, my wife and I were trapped in a bad situation. To the experts, they said they knew what we believed about abortion as Catholics, but this really wasn't an abortion because there was no hope. I remember telling Michelle, I don't know who the heck that doctor thinks she is, telling us there's no hope because we had a trip already planned with the Knights of Columbus to Fatima. And on that trip, we were privileged to be present when Archbishop Lori consecrated the Knights of Columbus to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And the gospel that day was from John about the official coming to Christ and saying, "Hurry, my son will die if you don't come save him." And he said, "Go forth, your son will live." I asked for Father McGivney to pray for Michael, but I also asked not for my will, but for God's will to be done. We had a 10-day trip scheduled to Europe, and that was also scary. Michelle could have developed mirror syndrome and become very ill on our journey. She could have lost him shortly after we left the United States and carried him for several days on the journey before we could get back home. But her act of faith and submission allowed God's grace to bring about this plan and bring Father McGivney's beatification to fruition. The grace we were given to trust God's plan allowed the gift of new life and the gift of a miracle through the prayers of Blessed Michael McGivney. We want to close real quick with a quick prayer. Jesus, we surrender ourselves to you. Take care of everything. Give us all the courage to trust your plan, for your ways are not our ways. Jesus, we trust in you. Viva Cristo Rey.